free college football picks. Week 9, part 1. I'm Tony T here with our college football pick show here for Monday. Well, we're going to cover week 9 games. We have 60 this week, so we're going to do them in 6 parts, 10 each day. So we got 10 here for you on this 60 game FBS versus FBS card for week 9. Before we get to them, just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Free College Football Picks. We're updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL, NBA, European football, NHL, and more. It's a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, thumbs up and likes. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the link to the hot cappers. Get signed up to their long-term passes. Guys like Brandon, who's been hot. Our GM has been hot. We can take a look here at Ramon, Hollywood Sam, Tiffany, Paul, and Nick. Click the link and get signed up to the long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here in the center of the page here with our latest premiums, as well as our best bets, our $15 pick, which is our promotional picks each capper can send out, and our 3-packs for you as well. Pick ticker in the center for individual a la carte pick purchases. And of course, let you know about our promo code. You can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use that promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description. Click the All Cappers tab, get signed up. Also love to hear from you guys. Post your picks in the comments below. Looking for cappers, so you can apply over at Tony'sPicks.com down at the footer section. And of course, every pick in podcast form, if listening to our picks in podcast form is better for you than the videos, check it out. Tony's Picks Podcast, available on all major platforms. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this one started. Air Force versus Army college football pick for Saturday. Air Force hit the bye at 4-3 after a 19-14 home defeat to Boise State. Falcons gained 271 yards with 175 rushing on 50 carries. Defensively, they limited the ground attack for Boise State but allowed 207 yards passing on 24 attempts. Zeke Daniels, 50% completion rate in the loss, 12 yards per attempt. He did run for 70 yards on 14 carries and a touchdown. On the season, Daniels, 47% completion rate, 10.2 yards per attempt. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Army hit the bye week at 3-4 after their 48-24 home win to UL Monroe. Black Knights gained 482 yards in the victory, 441 rushing on 62 carries. Defensively, they did give up over 6 yards a carry and 164 passing yards on 28 attempts. Jamel Jones attempted only 4 passes but had 17 rushes for 96 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the year, he has 5 rushing touchdowns, 6.8 yards per attempt. He's thrown only 15 passes in 4 games, completing 6 of them for 141 yards. Black Knights quarterback Jones outperforming Daniels on the ground play. He'll be Army at +6. BYU versus Boise State college football pick Saturday. BYU fell to 4-5 with their 27-24 home defeat to East Carolina. Cougars offense generated 388 yards with 244 rushing on 42 attempts. On defense, BYU allowed nearly 7 yards per rush with 197 passing on 22 attempts. Jaron Hall, 72% completions, 2 touchdowns, and 5.8 yards per attempt. He did run for 60 yards on 8 carries. On the year, Hall, over 65% completion rate, 21 touchdowns, 3 picks, 7.8 yards per attempt. Boise State improved to 6-2 with their 49-10 home win to Colorado. That was Colorado State. Now the Broncos offense posted 518 yards with 213 rushing on 45 carries. On defense, they shut down the Rams' run game and allowed 167 passing yards on 26 attempts. Taylon Green here, season highs, 80% completions, 305 yards, 10.2 yards per attempt in the win. He threw for 2 touchdowns. On the year, Green, 67% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, 7.7 yards per attempt. Boise State has played a weak schedule considering how down the Mountain West is. BYU has played a difficult one. Cougars have covered 6 of 7 in this venue. Cougars are running for 5.1 yards a carry and passing for 252. A game play here will be on BYU +8. Oklahoma State versus Kansas college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Oklahoma State fell to 6-2 after their 48-0 road defeat at Kansas State. A season low 217 yards for the Cowboys, 54 rushing on 30 carries. On defense, they allowed over 5 yards a carry with 296 passing yards on 37 attempts. Gunnar Gundry relieving injured Spencer Sanders, who left the game last week with a shoulder injury. In mop-up duty, Gundy, 52% completions, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 5.3 yards per attempt. Sanders on the season, Carrillo, 58% completions, 7.6 yards per attempt. Kansas, they're now 5-3. If they hit the bye with the 35-23 road defeat at Baylor, Jayhawks gained only 288 yards in that game, 56 rushing on 22 carries. Defensively, they surrendered over 5 yards per rush, 164 passing on 26 attempts. Jason Bean, 59% completion rate in defeat, 8.6 yards per attempt. On the year, Bean, 62% completions, 9.8 yards per attempt. Of course, the injury to Sanders is huge, as Gundy has no starting experience under this road game. Play here, Oklahoma State and Kansas to go under 69.5. Minnesota versus Nebraska, college football pick Saturday. Minnesota improved to 5-3 with their 31-0 home win to Rutgers. Golden Gophers posted 375 yards in that victory. They ran for 253 on 53 carries. Defensively, they held the Scarlet Knights' ground attack to barely 2 yards a carry and 86 passing yards on 24 attempts. Tanner Morgan completing nearly 67% of his passes, 5.8 yards per attempt. On the year, Morgan, 67% completion rate, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, 8.9 yards per attempt. Nebraska are 3-5 after that 26-9 home defeat to Illinois. The Cornhuskers a season low 250 yards, 62 rushing on 24 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 4 yards per rush and 179 passing yards on 28 attempts. Casey Thompson completed only 47% of his passes, 11.5 yards per attempt. He had a touchdown and 2 interceptions. He left with a hand injury and considered day-to-day. Chuba Hubbard just 3 of 8 for 15 yards and a pick in relief. Nebraska quarterback situation an issue. We expect Golden Gophers to stick to their string, which is running the football and playing defense. Key is keeping Tanner Morgan under 20 passing attempts. He kind of stays out of trouble that way. Play here will be Minnesota and Nebraska under 47. Tulane versus Tulsa, college football pick Saturday. Tulane improved to 7-1 after their 38-28 home win to Memphis. Green Wave gained 344 yards, 186 rushing on 41 carries. On defense, they limited the Tigers' ground attack with 312 passing on 41 attempts. Michael Pratt, 69% completion rate with a season low 5.4 yards per attempt. On the year, Pratt, 67% completions, 12 touchdowns, 3 picks, career high 8.9 yards per attempt. Tulsa fell to 3-5 with their 45-34 home defeat to SMU. Golden Hurricane produced 398 yards, 182 of it rushing on 37 attempts. Defensively, they allowed only 3 yards per rush to the Mustangs, 310 passing on 28 attempts. Davis Brin season lows here, 43% completions, 96 yards, 6 yards per attempt. On the season, Brin 60% completion rate, 8.8 yards per attempt. Poor recent defensive performances by Golden Hurricane here. They allowed 45 to SMU, 53 on the road to Navy. They couldn't cover at a down Temple team. Player will be Tulane -7. Florida versus Texas A&M, college football pick Saturday. Florida fell to 4-4 with their 42-20 defeat to Georgia. Gators gained 371 yards, 100 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, they allowed over 6 yards a carry and 316 passing yards on 38 attempts. Anthony Richardson completed 48% of his passes, 271 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt. On the season, a completion rate of 55%, 7.9 yards per attempt. Texas A&M dropped to 3-5 with a 31-28 home defeat to Ole Miss. Aggies gained just 480 yards, 142 rushing on 29 carries. On defense, they limited the Rebels' passing game but allowed 390 rushing yards on 63 carries. Connor Wegman completed 63% of his throws, 4 touchdowns, 338 yards, and 7.7 yards per attempt. On the year, Wegman, 61% completions, 7.3 yards per attempt. On the road, the Gators are surrendering 576 yards, 5.4 yards per rush, and 12.5 yards per pass attempt. Wegman really finally gives Aggies a solid quarterback play this year. Play will be Texas A&M -3. Ohio State versus Northwestern, college football pick Saturday. Ohio State 8-0 after their 44-31 road win at Penn State. Buckeyes gained 452 yards in that one, 98 on the ground on 26 carries. On defense, they limited the Nittany Lions' ground attack but allowed 371 passing yards on 47 carries. C.J. Stroud here, about 79% completion rate in the win, about 10.7 yards per attempt, 354 yards in that one. This season's drought, a 71% completion rate, 10.7 yards per attempt. Northwestern fell to 1-7, 33-13 road defeated Iowa. Wildcats, a season low, 177 yards, 18 rushing on 37 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 4 yards per rush with 220 passing on 30 attempts. Brendan Sullivan, season high here, nearly 77% completion rate, 5.3 yards per attempt. On the year, Sullivan, 73% completions, 5.9 yards per attempt. Wildcats have been able to move the football through the air at home with 208 yards passing a game. Northwestern has gone over in 3 straight. Buckeyes over in their past 6 play here. Ohio State and Northwestern over 62.5. Maryland versus Wisconsin college football pick Saturday. Maryland hit their bye week at 6-2 after their 31-24 home win to Northwestern. Terrapins gained 423 yards in the win, 257 rushing on 50 carries. Maryland allowed over 4 yards per carry to the Wildcats with 148 passing on 24 attempts. Talia Tagovailoa expected to return after an injury against Indiana on the season. Tagovailoa, career highs here, over 72% completions, 8.5 yards per attempt. Wisconsin improved to 4-4 after a 35-24 home win to Purdue. Badgers moved the football for 381 yards, 178 rushing on 29 carries. Defensively, the Badgers allowed over 3 yards per rush with 320 passing on 46 attempts. Graham Mertz, 62% completion rate, 2 touchdowns, 9.7 yards per attempt. On the year, Mertz, a 63% completion passer, 8.6 yards per attempt. Terrapins running for 5 yards a carry. That's pretty good here, especially with the production they're getting from Tagovailoa. But for the Terrapins offense here, play here Maryland plus 5.5. North Carolina versus Virginia college football pick for Saturday. North Carolina improved to 7-1 after their 42-24 home win to Pittsburgh. Tar Heels gained 477 yards, 89 of it rushing on 27 carries. Defensively, they allowed only over 4 yards a carry here to the Panthers, 236 passing on 31 attempts. Drake May for North Carolina here, 77% completions, 5 touchdowns, 8.8 yards per attempt. He threw for a season high 388 yards last week. May on the season, 71% completions, 29 touchdowns, 3 picks, 9.7 yards per attempt. Virginia, they fell to 3-5, 14-12 home overtime defeat to Miami. Cavaliers gained just 327 yards in that one, 119 rushing on 33 carries. Defensively, they allowed under 4 yards per rush, 125 passing on 32 attempts. Brendan Armstrong, 60% completions, 8.3 yards per attempt. This season, Armstrong career lows here, 56% completion rate, 6.7 yards per attempt. He's thrown 6 touchdowns with 9 interceptions. Tar Heels averaging 502 yards a game, but giving up 462 yards. The play here in North Carolina and Virginia over 59. Western Kentucky and Charlotte college football pick Saturday. Western Kentucky moves to 5-4 with their 40-13 home defeat to North Texas. Hilltoppers gained 466 yards in that one, 146 rushing on 20 attempts. On defense, they did allow over 5 yards per rush, 340 passing on 30 attempts. Austin Reed completing 59% of his passes, 6.5 yards per attempt. On the year, Reed a 68% completion rate, 7.5 yards per pass attempt. Charlotte, they improved to 2-7 after a 56-23 road win at Rice. 49ers produced 514 yards, 239 rushing on 43 carries. On defense, they allowed the Owls 5 yards per rush, 218 in the passing game on 33 attempts. Chris Reynolds, season highs here, 84% completion rate, 5 touchdowns, 13.4 yards per attempt. On the year, Reynolds, 65% completion rate, 8.6 yards per attempt. But Charlotte's defense gave up 507 yards a game, 5.4 yards per rush, and 10.2 yards per pass attempt. They have a recent home loss to FIU by 19. Play here, Western Kentucky, minus 16.5. All right, that was our college football pick show here for Monday. We covered week 9, part 1. We gave you 10 of them. Remember, there's 60 games, so we're going to get you 6 parts of 10 for the remainder of the week. So remember, visit TonySpix.com to get all of our live premium picks here, our best bets as well. Use promo code TonyT at checkout to save 20% off. And visit our podcast at Tony Spix Podcast, every pick in podcast form. So check it out. All right, that'll do it for our show. We'll be back a little later here with more.